Boris Johnson today dismissed EU efforts to turn the screw in Brexit negotiations by demanding domain over Northern Ireland if Britain leaves the customs union. The Foreign Secretary hit back amid signs a legal text drawn up by Brussels will effectively ignore the UK's side of the divorce deal struck before Christmas. The draft lays out plans for Northern Ireland to stay fully aligned with European laws and regulation, without referring to British proposals for technological solutions and other arrangements to avoid a hard border. The high-stakes move, said to be driven by an increasingly tough stance in France and Germany, has fueled fears that negotiations could collapse altogether. Asked about the EU stance this morning, Mr. Johnson said, "We don't think that is the right way forward. As you will recall, the PM said very clearly in December that we want a different solution." Mr. Johnson compared the Irish border to the lines between London boroughs, pointing to the use of camera technology to impose the congestion charge on drivers. "We think that we can have very efficient facilitation systems to make sure that there's no need for a hard border. Excessive checks at the frontier between Northern Ireland and the Republic," he said. "For people listening, there's no border between Camden and Westminster. But when I was Mayor of London, we anesthetically and invisibly took hundreds of millions of pounds from the accounts of people traveling between those two boroughs without any need for border checks whatever." During the frenzied divorce talks in December, Theresa May committed to keeping enough alignment with EU rules to avoid a soft border as a backstop if no other solution could be found. But she also vowed to the DUP that there would be no new regulatory barriers between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. The European Commission has deleted this wording in the legal document, putting the divorce deal down in writing. According to reports, they have also drawn up a last resort option which would see Northern Ireland stay under EU rules and regulations if no free trade deal is done. This would mean Northern Ireland could accept the rules of the customs union, single market, and continue to be bound by EU courts after Brexit, even while the rest of the UK is not. The dispute has been intensified by Jeremy Corbyn's decision to endorse membership of a customs union with the EU after Brexit, encouraging Brussels to think it can force the issue. The Irish border is one of the trickiest questions bound up in the Brexit negotiations. Currently, the UK and Ireland are both in the EU, so there is freedom of movement and goods and no hard border there, which helped to underpin the Good Friday Agreement which brokered peace. There are fears that new customs checks and border guards would reignite sectarian divisions and could spark fresh violence. Under the divorce bill, Britain promised to maintain a soft border in Northern Ireland to avoid the peace being imperiled. She promised Northern Ireland would maintain enough alignment with EU rules and regulations so that a hard border can be avoided. British officials accused the EU of picking and choosing the bits they liked from the divorce deal to put into the treaty. They see the Commission as having a tenure when it comes to Belfast politics. The customs union and single market have emerged as crucial battlegrounds in the struggle over Brexit. The customs arrangements could decide the fate of the overall deal, as the UK has already said it will ensure there is no hard border between Northern Ireland and the Republic. Here are the main options for what could happen after Britain leaves the bloc. Staying in the EU single market. A Norway-style arrangement would be the deepest possible without formally staying in the EU. The single market rules out tariffs, quotas or taxes on trade and guarantees free movement of goods, services, capital and, controversially, people. It also seeks to harmonize rules on packaging, safety and standards. Staying in the EU customs union. The customs union allows EU states to exchange goods without tariffs and impose common tariffs on imports from outside the bloc, but they also prevent countries from striking deals outside the union. Theresa May has repeatedly made clear that the UK will be leaving the customs union. Forging a new customs union. Some MPs and the Labour leadership have raised the idea of creating a new customs union with the EU. This could be looser than the existing arrangements but still allow tariff-free trade with the bloc. However, many Eurosceptics believe it is impossible to be in a union without hampering the UK's ability to strike trade deals elsewhere. They also complain that it would mean accepting the EU's protectionist tariffs against other parts of the world in areas like agriculture. The PM has also ruled out this option, a customs partnership less formal than a union. This proposal would seek to cherry-pick the elements that facilitate tariff-free trade without binding the UK's hands when it comes to deals with other countries. One possibility could be keeping the UK and EU connected for trading goods but allowing divergence for the services sector. The partnership option was floated by the government in a position paper last year. Highly streamlined customs. This scenario would be a bare minimum customs arrangement between the EU and UK. New technology would be deployed alongside a simple agreement to minimize friction, but there are fears that this could hit trade. And it is unclear how the system would work with the soft Irish border.
Tell me where the freaks at.